It's another episode of Circle of Trades. I'm Todd Studer, back with Travis Waldstein, AirServe Heating and Air Conditioning, and Waldstein Plumbing. And Travis, I know, you're looking around a corner here. I know that you're not listening to my show because I mispronounced your name on my own show, and I didn't get a call. So I knew you weren't listening that day.
Hey, you know what? It's Waldstein, not Steen. I'm German, not Jewish, so keep that in mind. So
yeah, that's you explained that to me. I think the very first day we met, you explained that to me.
Yeah. You know, like I said, and I'm a Swede from Northwest Iowa, got a German last name, so figure that one out. So there's a story behind that.
So what we've done here is you have a new banner hanging up in the background. You have a guest sitting there in the studio, which means to try to get everything into the camera, we have just like 3/4 of your face.
Yeah. So,
which, to be honest, I'm not complaining about that.
You know, half face, then we get a quarter face, you know. I mean, I can give you the whole side view if you want. So.
Oh, that's I haven't had dinner yet. Anyway, what's going on here? I mean, you've got Luke Barrett in the room with you there, and I know that, it kind of sounds like some congratulations are in order, right?
Yeah. He finally finished with the apprenticeship program in December through HVAC through CU Authority, and you just passed your test. March 4th, right?
Yep, March 4th.
So he's one of our new journeymen. So that means he went from being the top of the bottom, and now he's kind of the bottom of the top. So so it depends on perspective. He's moving up the food chain a little bit per se, and now he has a card that says he knows something. Then we're going to actually teach him some real life management skills. So lead people. This
is kind of an example of a lot of the things that you've talked about that going through the program, and I'm sure, Luke, that you have a bright future ahead of you because of the path that you've gotten on.
Yep. So I got real lucky and had an uncle in the field. He led me in the right direction from graduating, and say I'm here at 22 with a journeyman license.
Mm-hmm. So. That's huge. I mean, he's one of the stories that we're talking about that we've got in shop. We got several guys like you're probably one of the youngest. I have to say that you're probably one of the youngest.
I am the youngest at the shop.
Yeah.
Besides Carson.
Are you the youngest person at the shop?
The youngest on the heating and air side.
All right. So, but he has reached puberty, so as you can tell. So,
as proof with the facial hair, I got you.
Yeah. So talk about the process. I mean, it's a 4-year process, but talk about what it was like for you to go through that process.
I'll say, with the way it's done here, I'll say first 2 years you're working as a helper, picking up everything you can. I'd say I had a pretty good teacher. I had my uncle teaching me everything. And then after about 2 years, I actually went out on my own. I learned enough to be able to do the job. So I was out there running my own crew. After the 2-year mark, that's when I started class. The class takes 2 years, but it's 4 years of schooling. Every 6 months, you do 1 year of school. So I just worked my way through that. The next 2 years going through classes, passed the apprenticeship. Then after that, it took me 3 times to pass the journeyman test, but passed it and I got it now. So hopefully I ain't got to do that one again.
Yeah. Well, and it was kind of a big deal just go through the process because, you're working during the day. And then, you've got 1 night a week that you're sitting through class, you got homework, correct?
Yep. And so they give you basically every week you go into class and then you get, I think it's 3 or 4 projects and a test for every week. So I could be working 52 hours, but by the end of the night Sunday, you got to have all that turned in and ready to go.
So, which is really good. So obviously with the classroom instruction and, but you're out doing it too. You're out seeing it, you're out doing it. Plus we're doing trainings in the shop here and talking about different stuff that we do. And like I said, and he's still got journeyman he's working under that, what he screwed, listen, everybody makes mistakes. So, he's able to learn through the process. and now he's to a level to where he's, I mean, basically they say he's competent enough per se to, to be able to run the jobs independently. There's no issues, with doing that. So, I mean, it's actually, to me, it's really exciting that you have that opportunity. So, that days at that point. So, and you graduated from Glenwood. What year did you graduate?
Well, I graduated in 2020.
So which was COVID year, and if everybody remembers COVID year, I mean, you were basically done with high school in March that year, weren't you? Pretty much.
Yep.
Pretty much.
Got out about 4 months early, and then just kind of got thrown into the field after that.
Yeah. So, and at that time too, it's kind of like going to college. You leave for college, you're an 18-year-old kid, and you get done with it, you're a 22-year-old adult. Isn't that kind of how that works?
Yeah. It's either be in debt or start making money right out.
Yeah. Well, and yeah, I mean, do you have it? You don't have any college debt, do you?
Nope, I don't have. Yeah, not a single dollar went towards my education.
Yeah. Yeah. He's got babies to pay for now.
So, yeah, luckily enough here, at AirServe, Travis does pay for your apprenticeship. So, you don't have to take the burden of paying for that yourself.
Mm-hmm. It is important. Like I said, I could name the list of the guys. I mean, we've got 8-9 guys, and vast majority of them, I've got a couple exceptions, but the vast majority have been through, our apprenticeship program and for what it is. And, if you're running, and it's a registered program too through U.S. Department of Labor. So it's not just, hey, Travis Waldstein says, and this is what it is. This is actually, through the state of Iowa, U.S. Department of Labor. So we have to go through processes. If they have an issue, there's a grievance process. There's a pay scale that they have to adhere to. So I mean, it's, it's not union per se, but I mean, there is a structure to it. It's not just show up and 4 years from now you go show up to get a card to take a test. You actually have to pass the test as well.
Yep.
So
hardest part there, but
yeah, so
it's doable.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that's the test, and I don't care anybody. It's hard to pass that test the first time. Usually, it takes a couple times for guys to pass. I mean, that's unfortunately, you're going to learn a lot more. With your hands, but the book, unfortunately, they go by what you know in a book, not by what you know as far as, up here, and that's, and sometimes, especially if you do a lot of install stuff, there's service stuff that you may not run into every day.
Yeah. So that was kind of my biggest kicker was, it's not what you actually physically know yourself. It's how well do I flip through these pages of this book and find what they want me to put down.
Mm-hmm. So, what was probably your biggest takeaway from going through the program and doing work here from when you first got into this, being 18 years old, and your uncle tell you to show up and that you're going to basically be his grunt and pick up his tools and his lunch pail and all that other stuff. So what's probably your biggest takeaway in your time getting into this trade as far as what what you do? What was the biggest thing you got out of it?
Oh, well, when I was younger, I didn't think much went into heating and air. There wasn't a lot to it. It was a pretty simple trade. But, once I got into it, I found out really fast that is not true at all. There's so many little technical problems or issues you can have to make something not work, and you got to be the one to be able to figure out every single part of it to be able to make it run again. So,
but yeah, it's definitely exciting. It's more exciting than Todd's hair. Did you notice Todd's hair today?
What is the deal with?
I gotta make sure he's awake over there.
I'm awake. I'm just I own a brush. I mean, that's what it is.
Yeah. I just throw a hat on. It's a heck of a lot cheaper. So, obviously you've got your journeyman, and we got a lot of projects going on this summer. I always ask, where do you see yourself down there? And now that you've done this, kind of what's the next level thought process? I know you've mentioned a little bit about jumping more into the plumbing side, obviously. What do you kind of see as your next steps as far as, that now that you got this, now that you got your journeyman's license, what you think your next step might be for you then?
I'd say at this point, it's kind of just keep working. later in life down the line, I do hope to own my own company at some point. That's kind of, I think we all shoot for that. But yeah, I'd say owning my own company would be great. That's kind of where I'm shooting for. Learn as much as I can now and take it with me and use it for myself eventually.
Mm-hmm. No, I think that's, listen, and I've said this before, if you're not ultimately one to own your own business, you're crazy as you found, and if you work for me, you find out I share probably more information than most. And unfortunately, you get to kind of see the good and the bad. I mean, it's one of the deals you kind of hold stuff close to the vest, or you can share, because if you're looking down that road, unfortunately, there's a lot of stuff with going into. It's not just knowing how to install furnaces and fix air conditioners. Unfortunately, I'd love for it to be that easy, but unfortunately, it's not always that way. So
there's a lot that goes into the backside, and you showing us, the numbers and that sort of stuff. I enjoy that just because it helps me look at, am I profitable? All that kind of stuff. Is what I'm doing actually, making us money? Is it, just that kind of stuff. It always feels good to see that, hey, I've made that, for you this year. And yeah, I don't know, just that good, heartwarming feeling.
It's part of the process is what it is. And to me, that's huge. You have to be part of that process. We give that opportunity, and we do the same thing on the plumbing side. Plumbing side is newer, obviously, but the HVAC side of it definitely is. So how many boxes you built so far today?
I think we got 32 12 by 12 plenums built out there.
There you go. So there you go. So what are you gonna do? My signs for my shop? We gotta. We gotta do a plasma table we're working with today. So the young guys know how to run all this plasma stuff, which is really cool. They can build some neat stuff, and we gotta get some bigger signs for in the shop here. So
just gotta remember how to upsize everything. There's a lot of programming that goes into it. So I'm still trying to get 100% rounded on all that kind of stuff right now. So.
Travis, let me ask you something. With this process that you're going through here with Luke, and obviously you are encouraged when you hear him say that one day he wants to be able to run his own business.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So by that means that you really are in a perpetual state of running young men through a journeyman program. And is this a philosophy that you had from the beginning of your business, that you knew that this was the way to be the most effective and have the highest quality of employees by going through that process? Because there's some companies that they don't want that. They want to bring somebody in and they want to know that, hey, we trained you, so you're staying with us.
Yeah.
And
your job's a run duct or whatever. I know exactly where you're going. Here's what I tell you, and to be fair, Todd, when I got into this 37 years ago, my uncle got me into this. My uncle Rick down in Texas. At the time, I listened. I went to trade school. I went to North Iowa Area Community College in Mason City. And if you'd have talked to me probably for the first 10 years, it was the only way to go is with the trade school. And actually, one of my classmates, Jason Ott's an instructor up there. He puts out a lot of good people through that program. So there are very good trade schools out there. But what I saw working down here is, on your own business, you want people that are vested in your company. And yeah, would I like them to stay forever? Yeah, I mean, if everything works. But you know what? If you to be vested, you have to have drive. Some people get in a comfort zone, but let's say in 5 years, if he decides he wants to open up a shop in Glenwood and wants to make his own destiny, I mean, would I hate to lose him? Absolutely. But, I can't fault a guy for wanting to better himself and better his family. And does he become competition at that point? Yeah, technically he does. But there's enough work out there for everybody. To me, it's not a problem. And, I would rather have, if Luke's here and there in Glenwood 5 years from now, at least I know if I was bidding against him or up against him on a job, we're going to know that things are done correctly. You don't have to worry about things being done, cutting corners and doing stuff. And so, I think you're doing right with the industry, but by doing that, and and I'm not going to be doing this forever. I mean, I'm 52 years old. I'm going to be doing it for a while, but at some point you have to give back. Some people give to charity. Some people, give back certain things. And I do a little bit of that too. But the biggest thing I can give is the time and resources and my knowledge. And if that person wants to go off and be his own boss or own leader, absolutely. So, but it's not a philosophy that a lot of people necessarily share because, well, you're going to train the competition. Well, I mean, 7 out of 10 employees are, out on Indeed or Career Plug right now looking for jobs anyway. So you can either embrace it and invest money into them and hoping that, they have a life skill that they can always do, or you can kind of go hide a corner and bury your head put a bag over your head that says this doesn't go on. But the reality is, that's how the next generation of this industry starts. People like him again do says, hey, you know what? I could do better than that old guy over there, and I want to hang my own shelf out there. And you know what? Who am I to tell him he can't do it? So.
Well, and that kind of makes you the Hayden Fry of the HVAC industry, although, Luke, you wouldn't know that reference. But,
yeah, he's a Nebraska fan. He didn't know anything about good. When he was born, I mean, did Nebraska should win a national title before you were born?
Before, not after.
Yeah, before.
No.
So, you know what good football is at this point. So but yeah. So I mean that's yeah. With where he's at, it's good. And, for him and any of the other guys, I mean, on the plumbing or HVAC side of things, I mean, my son's a great example. I mean, my son's running the plumbing business. I mean, he's 27 years old. I'm not out telling him what to do. He's had drive and ambition, and unfortunately we need more people. We need more people like these guys that are out there doing it, because the ones that are, a lot of them that are here, been around for a long time, they're leaving the industry. So we need people like Luke. We need people like Hayden or Shaded or Justin or, Tucker or Caden, any of the guys I got in the shop here. I mean, they're all fairly young guys. They all got a long time in this industry. So, you have to, you got to support the future, because frankly, there's not a lot of guys my age that are out turning wrenches every day. At this point, between backs and shoulders and legs and everything else this industry has perceived in the past. Plus, the other thing, my thing is, there's always a better way to do something. And I really think, I don't want guys to be all tore up when they're 40, 45 years old. We're not trying to hump compressors on a roof with a shoulder. We have ropes. We have things, we call the crane guy if we need to. We're not trying to be He-Man. This industry, sometimes people get to be He-Man, they end up crippled for the rest of their life because they're stupid. I mean, I hate to say it, but that's the reality of it. There's no reason for it. So,
well, I think that that's the exact right attitude to be having with that, looking into the future and having people coming in behind you. And you never know that maybe he just, as you step out, Luke steps in. You never know. You never know what could happen.
Well, you never know. I could drop over dead tomorrow, then Hayden will have to make some decisions as far as what he would do. If you know what I'm saying. So you never know when that opportunity. You never know when that opportunity is going to come up. And like I said, with someone like him, he unfortunately he's having some family tragedy recently, but he's got a fiance and he's got a child, and yeah, you're not married yet, are you? Okay, I didn't think. Okay, I had that right. I had to go back and double check. But he's got a child now, and he lives in a house in Glenwood, and responsibility. And you know what? I mean, you probably want to get a bigger house at some point. Yeah. Hopefully, you're smarter than your uncle, and you buy Chevys and not Dodges.
No, I don't know about that. Mopar guy myself.
Mostly old parts and rust. That's all right. So, but I mean, young guys like this, hey, that's what this country is built on. As the country was built on denim, and now it's more Carhartt than it is denim, I guess, per se. But there's still a lot of them guys. You need them guys out there that's going to do the work in this country.
So you still have more folks that are going through the program now, right? That have not reached that level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right now we're kind of in a cycle because the way the HVAC, the plumbing's a little bit different as far as I do, but on the HVAC side, we got 2 people that are eligible to, all their time's counting. So as far as years of work, they're in year 2 of the program. You have to have 8,000 hours, which is essentially 4 years if you're working 40 hours a week. But right now, as far as class time goes right now, I don't think I've got actually Bailey, one of my apprentice plumbers, she is actually doing, she's doing a plumbing apprenticeship right now, but we won't actually have people in class till January. When we go in January, I think we're going to have at least 2, on the HVAC side. So, possibly more, but definitely 2, 2 for sure. And it's just, what the program is, it's just the timing. I mean, they do have a 1-year fast track program, but if you have family, if you got kids, if you got certain things going on, I'd rather have someone have the time to do it and pick up the knowledge than rush them through a twice a week program and feel like they're rushing, not learn what they're supposed to do. You got to put the time. I'd say you got to put the time in no matter what. You got to put in 8,000 hours, so we don't have to rush the classroom time in a 12-month period where we could spread it out over 24 months, and you get a lot more out of it. So.
Well, let me ask you a question, Luke, since something that Travis talks about a lot is just giving the trades a consideration coming out of high school. Was it ever a decision for you when you were finishing up high school, or is this just, maybe not HVAC, but just knowing that you wanted to go the blue-collar route? Was that always where you were at, or was it something you were, for a while, considering the 4-year traditional route?
Well, I'll say for me personally, I always knew I've never been real book smart myself. I knew I was always going to end up somewhere working with my hands. So originally I was going to go to the Marine Corps. I didn't know that. Yeah, my grandma actually, she ended up talking me out of that. So I'm here. But no, and then in high school too at Glenwood, now it's a little different. They have a trades fair now. When I was there, we didn't have it. It was, go to college, go to college, go to college. You need that 4-year degree to get anywhere in life. But and then luckily I had an uncle in the field, and I was able to find my way into it through him, and I haven't looked back since.
I would think too that as you're going through that program and your eyes start to open a little bit, and you realize that, there's a lot of opportunity here that no one's been talking to me about. Yeah. And then kudos to your uncle for seeing the potential there in you and saying, okay, here's another option for you. And I think that, as you said, though, the programs are starting to come back, and we're starting to see them in the schools, but we're not that far away from exactly, Luke, what you were talking about, that, if you don't go the 4-year college, then you're going to work a drive-through for the rest of your life. And that's just not the case.
No,
not at all.
Yeah, I don't want you serving me. I don't want you serving fries and McDonald's in Glenwood. So. Sorry.
You can go ahead and fix their HVAC when that breaks down, though.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There you go. Yeah, it's one of the slowest McDonald's in the country, but yeah. Haley's got a Pizza Hut, and what else did they open up now?
We got a Runza now.
They got a Runza.
That's in the same building, isn't it?
Yeah, they share a building.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? Well, I heard their Pizza Hut's actually pretty good down there. Is that true?
It's almost like a little sports bar.
Is it really?
Yeah, they probably got about 10 TVs up. You can go in and have a cold beer on tap and have a pizza there. Yeah. It's pretty nice for a Pizza Hut. I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, so it's a little bit different concept to the traditional diet. Just walk in or dine in. Then, so.
Yeah, I'm saying. We had one of the old Pizza Huts before with the salad bar and everything in it. And now there's an actual bar in it, so I made it pretty nice.
Yeah. Well, and Runza's not too bad. I like I said, I don't like Runza's themselves, but Runza the restaurant's not too bad.
No, so. Their burgers are a lot better than McDonald's, and that's all we've had for years. So
yeah. The views expressed are not those from the McDonald's Corporation or any of their affiliates.
So.
Everybody's entitled to their opinion about what they like better. I'm sure some like McDonald's better than Runza. Those are the people that you're not letting into the journeyman program.
Well, when he's a Nebraska fan, he's lucky I let him in because of that reason. But no, in all seriousness, but this is, with where he's at, we've got I say one kid, adult, he's 26, going to be 27 years old, that, he went to a maintenance college in Nebraska just to learn how to do light maintenance. And he's, into our program now. We've got 22, Gavin's about the same age as you are.
23.
And we got another one that's, 21. So, I mean, we don't have any, 40-year-olds right now, but I've had, Justin's been with me now. He was probably 30 when he joined the program. So it isn't like you have to be right out of high school either. You could be mid-20s and not sure what you want to do. You're working somewhere where you think you're learning something. And if you was ever to talk to Justin, I'll get him on here sometime too. He'd talk about, because he worked for a refrigeration place here that did railroad refrigeration. He thought he'd do refrigeration, took good work here. He goes, I don't know squat, but he's been through the program, and now he's running our service department. He's been with me for 7 years. So, I mean, he's, doing really well with, with it too. So, I mean, it's one of them deals to where you don't have to be fresh out of high school. You could have went to college and said, man, this just isn't for me. And it don't have to be HVAC, it can be plumbing. I was talking to this gal today that her son's in doing carpentry. I don't know if there's, you always get into concrete, although concrete's hard work. So I don't know if I want to, for me, concrete's hard work. So, like I said,
it is hard work,
but there's something rewarding about doing that too. And there's so many different facets that I think you just kind of find your niche that makes sense. Unfortunately, we don't do all that, but anytime I hear someone's look at it or encourage it, or they think they know they like something or they want to do something, you know what? That's great. And I do see now with a lot of that have been out of school probably the last 2 years, probably 23 and 24 as far as graduation class, the ones that I've talked to, they at least know or have a little bit of a feel for what, our program is, because it's at least been discussed in school, to where even when you graduated in 2020, and even when my youngest graduated in 22, they do a little bit. I go back to 2015, 2016. It's like, well, trades. I mean, shoot, Haiti went to the Marine Corps. People are like, well, what's that? I mean, but it's all about that people are noticing that there's a trend. People are realizing, the guy they do for 30 years is retiring. Now, what am I going to do? And that's what's happening with the trade altogether, with the trades across the board. It's frustrating on one hand, but you got to embrace what companies are trying to do, what companies are schools and different stuff to try to get people in, because they're going to be the ones in 10, 20 years that are out fixing our stuff, and we need them people. So,
well, congratulations, Luke, on surviving. Not the program, Travis. I'm talking about you surviving Travis.
Well, that sometimes is the hard part, is surviving me. So what mood's Travis in that day? So,
but it's encouraging to see and to know that there is a generation coming up behind that we're starting to see fill in more and more, that can take over for some of these. You and I have talked about it early on in this podcast a couple of years ago about the average age of the business owner in the trades is pretty high, and that's an issue.
Oh, absolutely. It's a huge issue. So it that's the thing, and not just business owner, but employees. I mean, my main distributor, till they finally hired some people that were, I guess closer to my age, every sales guy that they had, every tech expert was 68 years old and was only working 20 hours a week because they were half retired and needed someone to do the job. It's like, we'll take you half time versus no time. And I mean, and that's probably the other part that doesn't really get talked about is, some of these people that are in the trades, doing what we do, or experts been around for a long time, that retire. Well, what's happened now is because there's not enough people to come fill in their spots. A lot of these people kind of get called back in as consultants and working not as an employee, but as a consultant, that they negotiate a fee and they come in and they work part-time. They might take Thursdays or Fridays off or whatever. So, so instead of being, 70 years old and, in your rocking chair or playing pickleball or doing whatever they're doing, they're still able to add, to the thing that they've spent their life to. Now, there's other people who are like, well, I'm done with it. But, it's kind of got to a point to where there's money there in certain applications and certain deals we're doing just because of the amount of people that are out there doing it. So it's not talked about a lot, but there's more of that out there than I've ever remembered seeing in the time I've been in the trade. So,
well, we're grateful that you talked Luke into coming on the show today, and I'm curious as to just how rough it's going to get now that you look at him as he's completely all the way up and he's a journeyman now. So you're really going to light into him when it comes to all this Nebraska stuff.
Well, you know what? We all make mistakes. So like I said, here's the deal. You can make big kid mistakes. And if you have a reason behind it, yeah, but if you're making first year press mistakes at this point, that's where we have that's where we have a heart-to-heart conversation.
Right.
So I have another name for it, but we'll just call it a heart-to-heart. So that's what it is.
Well, that's going to wrap things up for today. Hey, again, thank you both for coming on. Good show. It's encouraging to see success stories coming through, and that's I think that's what this is. So gratefully you put this together.
Yeah, next week I think Todd, we're going to have you at a location inside a septic tank as we're installing it. So
well, let me know if you need some lights because it's probably kind of dark in there. So thanks for listening, viewing, watching this episode of Circle of Trades. Back again next week with another one. Until then, take care.